What's up, everybody? This is your favorite family member, Uncle Mike, and I am here with a podcast that I really have waited about a few months to get done due to some things, some barriers, some beautiful barriers that caused us to delay this. Let's talk about it episode, but we will be talking today about the COVID vaccine and COVID-19. So I like the title, let's talk about COVID-19 and vaccinations. So we are going to go through a number of things. I have my co-host there. This is Tiffany McDonald. She is a cell biologist, and as I always tell her, one of the smartest people I know. So Tiff, if you want to go ahead and just give, some information about yourself and what you do and how you relate to this topic.
Sure. So thank you for having me, Mike. So my name is Tiffany Cummings McDonald. I am a cell biologist. I'm currently working as a senior scientist for a biotech company here in Columbus, Ohio. And it's fun. I started liking science at a young age, but when we were in college, I was in science classes all the time and all that stuff. So it's kind of the path that I've been on. And
yeah. So you're an expert.
Quite a bit about the things.
Okay. All right. So we'll get into it. So we're going to specifically talk about the COVID vaccine and COVID-19, about how it has impacted our life, and we'll go through some of the things that Tiffany has done with the vaccine. The reason why I have her here, again, I say that she's an expert and we laugh, but she really is an expert. So Tiff was part of a team or a company, I don't even know how to put it, where they actually tested the vaccines. Mm-hmm. So again, right. So she really is an expert in this, and she can give us some insight on things that we should be doing as relates to the vaccine or COVID-19 and the precautions or whatever. So I guess my first thing is we are almost 3 years into this thing now. So it's really, how are you feeling during this? How has the pandemic changed you? What have you learned? Where are you, with this thing?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
To be quite honest and quite frank. Mm-hmm. It's crazy that it's been 3 years. Mm-hmm. Like, for me, this whole time frame doesn't even feel like normal time.
Right.
Like, if I say, oh yeah, like, memories come up on Facebook and like on your phone, like a year ago you were doing this, a year ago, and it'd be like 2 years ago, like literally a couple days ago, a memory came up of me and my husband we went out to eat for one of his friends' birthday. And that was the last like major time we went out before COVID. And that was 2 years ago.
Yep.
It's like our last major. Yes. Hold on.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Okay. Javante.
So this is, inclusive to what the pandemic has.
Huh?
So this is inclusive to what we go through with the pandemic, with the kids being home from school, with you really having to pretty much be on call for a number of things 3 years in. And just like you, I do remember, so my wife's birthday is March 23rd. And we were in Cleveland that weekend. And so we went to Cleveland that weekend. I think we stayed to that Monday, which was like, I think the 25th or the 26th. And the 25th or the 26th was actually the day, like really when the world shut down.
Yeah.
So it is, you remember those specific events because of, what has happened. And you really can't, I feel like that the years have like really gone together. Like you can't tell me that was almost 3 years ago because it just seems like it was yesterday.
Yeah. And a lot of people said that, like, with us working from home or like everything being closed, a lot of the things that we normally gauge time with weren't there.
Yeah.
So, like, having your morning routine, getting up, taking your kids to school, then going to work,
Yeah.
taking that out, it doesn't feel like time is passing. So a lot of the time I
Exactly.
find myself like, what day is it?
Yeah. Or trying to get prepared, and then you still fall back behind because you have gotten so used to being able to kind of like just move at your speed to where it loses, the consciousness of time. Is that a word? Consciousness?
Like, yeah.
We'll go with it. We'll go with it. All right. Next thing is, before we even get into the questions I have, is have you had COVID, and explain to me your details and your symptoms, and with you knowing what's in the vaccine, and assuming that you've taken it, because I haven't gotten to that question yet. But have you had it, and what was that like for you?
Yep. So I did have COVID. So I've had the vaccination, and I got the booster in December, and I got sick, and it's funny, and it's something I'm going to touch on a little bit more later. It's funny because my daughter's classroom, there was a kid in there who, I guess their parents took them to get tested and didn't wait for the results to come back, and brought them to school, and the entire infant's room got exposed.
Are you serious?
And so my daughter Sky's only 8 months.
Yeah.
She turned 8 months. And so I'm still holding her. She doesn't walk. She's crawling.
Yeah.
I hold her and, still like feed her at night and all that stuff.
There's no way that you can separate at all.
There's no way. When they sent us, because they let us know when there's been an exposure in the classroom, and then the kids have to quarantine for 2 weeks now it's 10 days.
Right.
So there's a quarantine as a precaution.
Yeah.
So they told us on New Year's Eve.
And
she had a fever on New Year that night. And I said, okay, luckily we had some at-home tests already at home.
Yeah.
So I was able to just test her and see, have a little bit of peace of mind. It was positive in 2 seconds.
Ooh.
So I was like, okay, well, and so I let my job know. And then I was like, well, I might as well test myself because I'm not really sure.
Of course.
And I tested myself and I was positive, but so I found out that I was sick and she was sick too.
Yeah.
So, luckily.
What about Raiden and Javante?
So neither one of them were sick.
Okay.
Raiden is vaccinated.
Yeah.
He's on the full panel, and Javante is vaccinated and had the booster as well. We both had at the same time. So me and the baby quarantined together.
Okay.
And then Javante were together. So
okay.
It worked out in that way, and I said it was a blessing because I think I would have been very lonely if it would have just been me.
Right. So, right. Did you have any symptoms?
So personally, I didn't have a cough. I didn't have a fever. So that Sunday night. So like I said, because she was sick, I just went ahead and tested myself.
Yeah.
And then that Sunday night going into Monday, I started having headaches.
Okay.
And so that was kind of the telltale sign that I was sick. And I just kind of was trying to make sense of it. And so I had to let my employer know and all that stuff. They had me get tested again. Our test just to
exactly. Yep.
And it came back positive, obviously.
Yeah. So we can dispel those myths that that the home test is. Let me say this. I know that the home test sometimes can be faulty, or that's what we've been told. But in your instance, it proved to be accurate both instances.
Yeah, and the funny thing about the home test, they're just the science behind how the home tests work is just like a pregnancy test. So it looks for protein markers in whatever sample, fluid sample that you provide. So the nasal swab for the test, or urine for a pregnancy test.
Right.
And then the strip in the test has color markers on it, and if it comes in contact with that protein,
that's how you know.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
So they're very the same type of technology are used for like pregnancy tests.
Yeah.
Used for the COVID. Or for
So then should we say that the home tests are pretty much spot on?
Yeah, they're pretty accurate, and it doesn't hurt to get a second opinion, just like with a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
With the pregnancy test, you're gonna go to the doctors and get a blood test just to confirm.
Right.
So it's just one of those things you just gotta do your due diligence with.
Yeah.
You can get a false positive, and I've seen people have false negatives for pregnancy tests too.
Right. Exactly.
They go to the doctor because they're still not feeling good, and it turns out that they actually are pregnant. So you just gotta be in tune with your body and know what's normal for you and things like that.
I've learned so much already. Like, this is amazing. It's going to help some people. This is going to help some people. So my experience with COVID is I'm actually just getting over COVID as well. 2 weeks ago, well, no, almost maybe a month ago now at this point. Yeah, for sure, a month ago at this point. My wife was coughing, and she was like, I just don't feel well. Let's take a COVID test. I called my sisters who work at nursing homes, so they get COVID tests, to test the patients. I don't know if they're supposed to bring them home, but right. So they got a COVID test, and I was like, well, can we get to just to test ourselves? And mind you, my wife was coughing and short of breath. We ended up taking a home test, and again, I wasn't having any symptoms.
Right.
My wife's test come back negative. Mine's come back positive. So I'm looking at her like, like, nah, come on. Something is going on. So, we believed it, and we immediately, like you did, I told my employer, at this point, this was a 6-day period, well, 5-day period. They told you if you were vaccinated, and I've been vaccinated and boosted as well. My wife has just been vaccinated. She hasn't gotten a booster yet.
Yeah.
So we went to the clinic the next day to take a PCR test. Sure enough, hers come back negative, mine's come back positive. When I tell you, Tiff, that I didn't get not one symptom, meaning that if she was not coughing or like under the weather, I would not have gotten tested. I would not have known. It really would have been me. When you hear those people who go out and they say like that they have COVID and they just going out willy-nilly, I just would have been out not even knowing that I had it. Yeah, because I did not have any symptoms, and that just showed me and it proved to me that that's why it's so important, in my opinion, and we'll get yours later on, why people should get this vaccine. And we'll go through a whole bunch of myths and different things about why people are not getting vaccines and a number of things. But in my opinion, I feel like that people should get it. People should get it. All right. So next is, so you tested the vaccines. And this is what I was really interested about when we were talking about it. Like, I was literally sitting there like this as you were talking, getting information. So tell us, what did you do to test the Pfizer, the Moderna, right? Moderna, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, even if it's called a vaccine, because I remember you telling me something different about what it should be called.
Yeah, so they're more along the lines of like therapeutics. They call them vaccine for like simplicity's sake. They're giving you a shot with it, but it's not a vaccine in the same way as like them giving you, well, Johnson & Johnson is a vaccine because it's giving you inactive version of the virus, so your body can kind of react to it. The Moderna and Pfizer are mRNA shots, and those shots essentially prompt your body to produce proteins that are normally associated with the virus.
Okay.
So that's kind of the difference with it. So with one, you're getting like a dead version of an inactive version of the virus in your body.
Gotcha.
And then with the other two, you're getting the mRNA, and that's what prompts your body to make proteins to
fight it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come in contact with it, it's not as intense.
So as far as, is there any pros and cons to which one you should get, or let's dispel that myth. Is it a reason why one should get one over the other? Or
anything, any of them is better than nothing.
Right.
Okay. Any of them is better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, if you have the option, Pfizer and Moderna are your best options.
Mm-hmm.
Either one, doesn't matter which one.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson & Johnson is effective, but it's not quite as effective as the mRNA shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest that you get those if you're trying to protect yourself in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But they, like I said, anything is better than nothing. I like to think of it as like, you know how it's been really cold and snowing and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. We knew the snow was coming. Would you go out into the snowstorm without a coat?
Right. Right.
The vaccine is you having a coat, gloves, boots, and
yeah.
To go out with just like a t-shirt and shorts on, or you can
right.
wear that.
Right.
So
right.
Kind of like you can still go out into the storm. You still can get the vaccine. You can still get sick.
Right.
So
right.
Have better protection against it.
Yeah, I like that analogy. Like you can go out. It's not going to stop you from getting a cold. It will just better protect you.
Yeah,
I like that analogy. Yeah.
So that's kind of what how I try to explain it to like a lot of my family. It's not doing anything to you on a genetic level.
Right.
Changing anything about you as a person.
So it's not going to stop you from having kids, or not going to put anything into you that later on down the line you grow a third eyeball, or it's not going to give you any of that.
The way that the mRNA, at least for the Pfizer and Moderna, the way that mRNA shots work, mRNA is it's called a messenger RNA, and that prompts your body to produce proteins. Proteins are made outside of the nucleus of your cell. So, and the nucleus is where
I don't know none of that. Okay, thank you.
Come in contact with your DNA is what I'm saying.
Okay.
People are talking about this is the genetic, it's going to alter you genetically.
Yeah.
Even come in contact with the proteins are too big to get into the nucleus where the DNA is. So that's just no.
Wow. Okay. So explain a little bit about it, of the testing. Like, how did you got? Yeah, because this was interesting to me as well. I was really like floored at some of these things.
So for a lot of the stuff, so the Pfizer and Moderna were part of like Project Warp Speed, which the government funded. And so a lot of the way that the funding, so typically if you, like say if I were creating a new type of vaccine or a new type of drug, you have to get through all these regulations with the FDA in order for it to be approved for consumption or use in a human. That usually takes 10 to 14 years.
Oh, wow.
And that's because they usually come up with whatever they want to focus on. And they do testing on at a research level to see if it's effective. Then they move into the different phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 3 goes into human trials to see if it causes any mortality or anything like that. Well, with Project Warp Speed, and because of the urgency of it, all of this stuff that usually takes a bunch of time, they had resources and people ready and willing to test for it. They didn't have to glean and pull people in.
Yeah.
Everything was brought to them because it was a worldwide need. Also, the science behind the mRNA vaccination has been in the works, I want to say, for at least 10 to 15 years.
And why would it have been so why would it have been in the works that long, and we're just learning about the vaccine?
So the science behind it was already being used. And I believe they were using it for trying to recall. I want to say it was rabies, or not polio. It was used for another type of illness to like focus on like to basically protect people from it.
Okay.
So, it's been in the works for a long time, and so they already knew that the science and how to produce those type of vaccines were effective.
Mm-hmm.
It's just applying it to the different things, like different types of viruses and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So all they did was take an already known technology and apply it to this new pandemic
Right.
that was like, ballooning and
Right.
ballooning worldwide.
Yeah.
And essentially all they did, I remember so I remember when the pandemic started, my science ear turned on because I'm like, okay, what are they? I know they need to get a sample, they need to sequence it, and they need to see what is in it and figure out how this thing is built.
Mm-hmm.
They can focus on, because essentially with viruses, they come into your body. They're not alive. They're not a living thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a parasite.
Okay.
So they need a host in order to reproduce.
To grow, right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what they do, they come into the body and they invade your cells. And once they're inside of your cells, they attach to the cells and inject their, I don't want to say their DNA because they don't have DNA, their RNA. They inject a part of themselves into the cell, and your body tries to fight it off, but its whole purpose is for it to keep producing virus inside the cell.
Right.
And then once it produces enough, it blows up the cells or destroys the cells and keeps moving on.
And that's how people die from it then.
Mm-hmm. It kind of snowballs. So
yeah.
A lot of the time, so like if you have a virus and you have a fever,
mm-hmm.
that's your body trying to fight off the virus.
Oh.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yep, your body's trying to fight it off. And so you have like white blood cells and other immune factors in your body that recognize something foreign is in your body. And so it raises the temperature of your body to try to kill it off.
Right.
And it also, they also have, I want to say neutrophils. I think that's the word. I think that's the term for it. But there are components that target the foreign bodies and try to destroy it in your body, and it can impact how you're feeling. So like when you get sick, that's when your body's like, you're kind of snotty because you're trying to get that stuff out of your body.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works. But when you do have a virus and stuff like that, that's why we get vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So if you kind of think about like how we have the flu, just the standard flu shot.
Right.
The whole purpose of that is the scientists globally, like the World Health Organization, they kind of have an idea of where different strains of flu are going to be more populous in the United States.
Okay.
And a vaccine towards that and distribute it in those areas. And it's basically if you come in contact with regular flu, so it helps so that like you're not having as bad of symptoms from it.
That's why they call this a vaccine.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's the same concept. It's just trying to help your body cope with it better than you not having anything, your body not knowing what is coming in contact with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is like Black girl magic. Like I'm looking at you with your natural, and like everything is just coming together. This is going to help some people. So my next question is, what would you tell people? Well, and I think that we've already went over this. So what would you tell people who is apprehensive about getting the vaccine? Like, what would you tell them that, like, listen, go ahead and get it, because what I'm gonna tell them is, do you want to die? And and I know that they don't want to hear that. I know that they don't want to hear that. So all right. So like, what would you from a scientist? What would you tell them?
I would tell them, and I've had these conversations with some of my family members, because I get it. The science community and like even the U.S. government hasn't been great to Black folks.
Right.
And that's just historically. Like I get it. But you have to understand, there are people that look like me that are working on trying to get this
Yeah.
out through, because we care about our loved ones and
Yeah.
we want people to be safe.
Yeah.
Like, I do the stuff that I do because I want people to be safe.
Absolutely.
I want people to have a chance. So,
and we'll hear from you versus, you know, the other.
You're hearing it from somebody that looks like you,
Yeah.
somebody that looks like your doctor, and you don't want to talk to them about it because you think that they don't relate.
Right.
But that's what I always say. And I tell people, I'm like, the amount of money that I've spent on my education, I feel like I should know what's going on.
Right.
You should be able to, like,
yeah, listen.
Even me.
Right.
I'm just
right.
saying.
Okay. And I feel again the same way. It's, you know, and it's so difficult because actually just recently a church member of mine passed from COVID, and young, 43 years old, and she had underlying conditions, and you know, we would talk to her, and she's like, you know, well, I'm gonna get it, and you know, and this and that, and so on and so forth. But she said she was going to get it, and she never did. And again, her health conditions, a regular cold for her was not a regular cold. Like, she would go to the hospital for a normal cold.
Yeah.
And she was in the hospital, and unfortunately, she passed away from having COVID. And, you know, like, I ended up finding myself feeling some kind of way just about it, is because, you know, for some people, I kind of feel like that you should know better, you know, and two, when you have the saying that, you know, they just want to take all of us out. And I get that too, because we have been hamsters and test subjects on a number of things. But I always say what I attribute it to is that they're not going to give the masses, you know, they're not going to give them the same thing that they're going to give us and kill them off, you know. Yeah. And I'm saying they, and we know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good way. But I'm sorry to hear about your loss. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate when things like that happen, because it's frustrating, because you have loved ones, you love the people that you're around, and so you're telling them something to try to help them. Yeah. Because you want to be able to spend more time with them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's unfair because you know that could have possibly prevented that from happening.
Yeah. Yep.
So just a precaution. And even so, just kind of speak to that, especially folks with underlying health conditions. It's super important to make sure that you're staying up on your vaccinations, not just Moderna, Pfizer, not just the COVID vaccination, all of them. Because of that, like you said, for her, a regular cold wasn't just a regular cold.
Yeah.
So if you have underlying health conditions that already make you very sick, and this is something that can make you exponentially more sick.
Yes.
It would make sense to just go ahead and just, it takes literally 2 seconds.
Yes.
Literally
yes. Yep. Yep.
Not to uproot your entire day. There's plenty to go around. It's not like what was March 2020.
Exactly.
2021.
Yeah, because it's 22 now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I told you, I know what year it is.
Yeah.
It's not like how it was when they first started rolling out the vaccines. There's plenty to go around. Even for the boosters, it's plenty to go around. Even if you just get one dose, it's better than nothing.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
I know for the Pfizer shot, one dose protected you, I think it was 83% effective. Once you got the second dosage, it brought you up to, like, I think 98%. In the 90s, above 95%.
Wow.
Same thing with Moderna. They're kind of neck and neck with how they covered. So even if you just get one, it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. So this is me, like, asking you.
Yes.
Like, I'm not gonna beg, but I'm going to ask, because
highly suggest.
Because, and it kind of, so what we were saying, so what I'm saying with, like, underlying health conditions, that it's also, you know, Black folks have higher levels of
diabetes, hypertension,
and those are underlying health conditions.
Yes.
So hypertension, diabetes,
asthma.
Yep, asthma.
Yeah.
Anything like that, low blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
hypertension, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Even if you've had like surgeries and things like that, your body's more susceptible. Even
Wow.
if your body's not in like if you're not 100% healthy, if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't thought about doing a New Year's resolution for losing some weight or
Right,
something
right.
like that, you may be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But I'm talking about those people who have some lupus,
Right.
anything like that. If you've had a bout with cancer,
Mm-hmm.
those types of things, you should definitely be looking to get a vaccination because
Mm-hmm.
you're not at 100% health. And those are the types of things, like that's what I'm trying to hit home. And it's
Yeah.
more common for Black folks to have
Right.
um, more of those illnesses and not be at 100% health because of the way that things are. A lot of us,
Resources and yeah.
resources. A lot
Yep.
of our loved ones live in food deserts. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
what a food desert is? It's where you live in a place where there is no fresh produce or no grocery stores within a walking radius.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that you're going to get McDonald's because McDonald's is closer to you.
Yes.
Going to Popeyes because you don't have a way to. You can walk to Popeyes, but you can't go to the other side of town to get
Absolutely.
so I'm originally from Swartz Creek, Michigan, not that far from Flint.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of like all of my grandparents and a lot of my family members live in Flint, and the side of town that my grandparents live on right now was a food desert for many years. It still technically is.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to open a mom and pop grocery store in downtown Flint, and it wasn't successful. And so the nearest grocery store for my grandmother to go grocery shopping is at least 20 minutes away by car.
And that's horrible.
So if you don't have a car,
Yeah.
that's over an hour for you to go to the grocery store. But I tell you what is close to her house. It's a corner store.
Yes.
Walking distance.
Yeah.
And then there's also a Rally's not that far from her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So but here's the thing: my grandparents, all of my life, all of my parents' life, have always had a garden.
Nice.
Fruits and veggies and stuff in their backyard. My grandfather hunts and fishes and all that.
Nice.
So we have all this fresh food and all this stuff. So we're a little bit different, but just to hit home, like it's very possible for you not to be in good health because of where you live.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you have those underlying health conditions, he's in here with me. It doesn't hurt to go ahead and take care of yourself just like to the doctor. So
yeah.
That's something to just kind of be cognizant of.
And it's really important. And I mean, that's the thing too, that probably should be another topic of let's talk about it because we don't address those enough. And we're fighting off these things. Here I am, 34 years old. And this is the most active I've ever been in my life. Is how I've been now. But what if I would have known these things a little bit earlier? How important that would be. I mean, and it's when you go to like those, I don't want to say rural areas, but when you go to an area that's not so much urban, you always see the people running and you always see people riding bikes and you always see people active, or even in the community, you see a number of parks available for people to go to, and we just don't have that. And then people can't afford gym memberships. It's impossible, not impossible, but it's hard, to do those kind of things. So that's another topic. But we can get going. Thank you for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
So another question is there any reason a person may not be able to get a vaccine? I heard someone say just today that they told they told his father that he was not able to get the vaccine. I can't remember what was the reason, but they said that he wasn't able to get it, even though I know that the father was against the vaccines, a little while before. So, I don't know too much what that means, or maybe that's just a story that is being told because it's still fresh. So is there a reason why a person would not be able to get this vaccine?
It depends on the type of underlying health conditions they have. I feel like, because of the scope of how many people have been and are being infected with COVID,
mm-hmm.
it's unique. So to think of it this way, there's been hundreds of millions of doses of this vaccination worldwide, globally. So there's a chance that somebody with the same health conditions as that person has already been vaccinated. They ask you a panel of questions when you go get the vaccine. They give you, they have you fill out a kind of like a questionnaire.
Yeah.
And so if there were any morbidities associated with the vaccine or anything associated with it, you would have heard about it by now. That many doses happening worldwide. There's no way. Like, and remember when they pulled the Johnson and Johnson?
When they put it off the market.
They pulled it because people were having some adverse reactions, but the percentage of folks that were having an adverse reaction to it was very minute in relation to the amount of people who did get the shot without any adverse reaction. And they evaluated it and put it back on the market.
Yeah. So, almost immediately though. It wasn't even like it was off for a long time.
It wasn't pulled for very long.
Yeah.
So those type of things, with that, you heard about that happening and then pulling it. So if there were situations where people were dying or people were having really, really bad reactions to it, you would have heard something about it by now.
Yeah.
So I would say it's one of those things that you need to check with your physician. If you have a general practitioner or a routine doctor that you go to, you can ask them those questions and ask, is it appropriate? To kind of give you a little bit of background. So I got my first dosage of the COVID vaccine when I was pregnant. And there wasn't very much research on pregnant women getting the vaccination, if there were any effects on the mother or on the child. So I spoke to my gynecologist about it. And I already knew in my head, in my heart, that I was going to end up getting it no matter what. But I was like, do you think it would be risky for me to get it? I got it when I want to say I was 8 months.
Yeah.
And so I asked her, I was like, do you think it would be okay for me to sign up and get it? And she was like, yeah. This is also another conversation. I had a Black gynecologist. So and tell her what I was thinking. And I asked her, so what do you think? Do you think it'll be okay for me to go ahead and get the shot? And she was like, yeah. She was like, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't get it. She's like, if anything, there's more of a reward of you getting it because you're getting it with your baby still inside you. So she's getting protection as well.
Absolutely.
That's what I did. I got my full dosage.
Yeah.
And my daughter had a little bit of protection. And when we both were sick with COVID, her symptoms were very mild. She had a fever, she was coughing, but if you looked at it from the outside, it looked like she just had a cold.
A normal cold, common cold. Yeah.
So I definitely think that that's something, like, again, if you heard something bad going on, they would ask you those things, like, and they ask before you go in, before they give you the shot, like, have you cancer? Are you currently dealing with anything? And then they may tell you, or they may ask, have you spoke to your doctor about it before giving it to you? So but I don't think it would be anything that could cause somebody to be hurt, but I would suggest them talk to their doctor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or again, that they trust their doctor.
If they trust their doctor.
Yeah. Okay. So I have about 3 more questions, but I'm going to limit it to 2.
Okay.
So kids and vaccine. My son is 7 years old. He look about 10, but he's 7. We'll worry about that later. So right. So he's 7 years old, and he actually went to school the later part of last year. So the school ended up opening up. And they had, for parents who wanted their kids to go to school. So it wasn't the full school setting. And they would have people in class, like learning centers pretty much, where, it may not be the teacher. It'll be, exactly, the computer, and the teacher's on the computer still, but they're in school. I really believe that it was important for my son. My son is extremely spoiled. He's around me too much. Again, another story later on.
too. So.
Okay, yeah. So I needed to get him out. Yeah, so I needed to get him out the house. And so, of course, I want to get my son vaccinated, but I'm in a co-parenting situation where I have to, me and my son's mother have to be in agreement of that, and we haven't come to agreement yet. Pray for me. Yep, just pray for me. And then as far as you, I heard you say that you got Raven vaccinated. Tell me your thinking behind that.
So it was similar. So we moved to Ohio late in September. Raven had not been in school since that March 25th.
Yep.
They shut everything down.
Yes.
They shut his school down, and he had been at home since March of 2020. And we kept him at home and, kind of worked with him. We were working on him reading and all that stuff. We didn't put him back in childcare because we just didn't know. Kids put their mouth.
Yes.
Open their mouth for no reason.
Yes. Yes.
I told you we just got a dog today. I look over, he biting on the dog bone. I said, "Are you?"
Right.
I'm letting him out. Like,
right.
I don't know. Why?
Yeah. That's what they do.
That's why I was very leery of putting him back in school when there was no vaccination.
Yeah.
So we moved, and we both would started jobs that were in person. They have some flexibility. For me, not so much because I have to work inside of a clean room. It's not something I could work on from home.
Yeah.
So we knew that he was going to go back to school. Well, the restrictions are a little bit looser here.
Yeah.
We're living.
Yeah.
So my child.
And we know those reasons.
Yeah. My child was the only one in his classroom wearing a mask.
Okay.
And so I'm like, as soon as the thing comes out, he's getting it. Yeah. And so when we sit here in talks of them getting ready to approve it, there actually was a doctor here. I don't know her name. There's a Black doctor here who started taking signups for the vaccination before they even rolled it out. Okay. So it was one of those things where, like, I could see people getting ready for it and seeing people, like, preparing themselves for it. Yeah. And so we were hearing talks about it, and then they finally rolled it out, like, the beginning of November, or they were getting ready to roll it out at the beginning of November. And I was just watching it, seeing what the approval process was, and, like, seeing when they were like, all right, it's okay for 5-year-olds. Raiden turned 5 in October. Okay. That tells you how on top of it. You was ready for it. I was ready. Yeah. Yep. He got his first jab. The end of November. The jab. Right. He got his first jab at the end of November. Okay. Right after Thanksgiving. And then he got his second dose. Well, we went because when you go, so we got his done at Myers. And when you get it, when you set it up with them, after you get your first shot, they automatically sign you up for the second dosage. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about coordinating it or figuring it out. You just show up. Yep, you just show up. Yeah. And they give you, so I have his card, I keep his card with me. But yeah, as soon as we heard that it was coming, we knew that we were going to get him vaccinated because he had, when he was younger, he had, they thought that he had asthma. Okay. And he has like a nebulizer and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't want him to have issues with breathing until then. If he can have a chance to fight against all that stuff, I'm going to do what I can to protect him. Yeah, yep. And that's how I feel too. So my son is, I don't want to say what he is because he may watch this and I don't want to, put any insecurities on him. But so he has some health conditions that I would like to, work with him on, which is the reason why I try to work on mine as well. So, and let me say this, I do understand for parents who have that caution. I'm not saying that, it's not something that should be thought about, but I believe that, like you said in the beginning of this, it's better to have something than to have nothing because these kids, they are out there and the school that he's at, they enforce masks and, you can't go walk into the school. Yeah. They still don't even have like outside visitors into the school to make sure, that everything is still, following those protocols. So I understand people who have those cautions and my son's mother, I understand that caution as well, but
I think that we have to think more of the longer, look at the longer picture versus what is right now. So, yeah.
And I agree. It's one of those things because, like, so God forbid something happened where he were to get sick.
Yeah.
If I didn't get him this protection, would it impact his quality of life down the road?
Absolutely.
I know people who had the first COVID when it first started spreading, who still haven't got their sense of smell back.
Yes.
So it's one of those things like, do I want that for my child? Do I want him to have to, I don't want to say suffer, but have a hard time with something that he doesn't even really remember?
Absolutely. At that age, they won't.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But
yeah,
I hope that it works out because it's one of those kind of tough where you're trying to be respectful of the situation.
Be respectful. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so I had a question on here, your 30-second plea to tell people to get the vaccine, but we've done that. I feel like I feel like that we've done that.
That's been the tone.
Yeah, that's been the tone of this conversation. And I really do hope that people talk about it. This podcast, again, is to talk about a number of things. And this is the number of things that correlates with our culture and with our population. And I believe that this is a topic that we need to get out. So I do thank you for that. I know that you told me that you had a number of resources. So I'm going to, of course, add those resources. You just get them to me, and I'll add those resources to the I guess description. Yeah, exactly. The description of this video. I'm going to put this on Facebook, YouTube. So I have to get on social media because I'm not on social media right now. So I have to get on social media to put this out. But Tiff, I thank you so much for this. I've really learned a lot during this. I learned more even from the first conversation that we had when he was pregnant with Sky, because that's what prompted this podcast or this topic. And now we're here 8 months later after she's born, which again, time is flying. Any last words that you want to leave us with?
I think I just want people to kind of be mindful of what's going on and just understand that it's not one of those things that if you get sick, you can just get sick with it and get over it. Just try to protect yourself as best as possible.
Yeah.
This isn't something that you want to like get sick on purpose.
Right.
Like how they used to do chicken pox parties when we were younger.
Yeah, so I can get it, so I don't have to get it anymore.
Yeah, that doesn't work. That's not how this works. So you can get it and you can get got. Yeah, right.
So, right.
It's not like chicken pox parties.
Yeah.
I attended some of I didn't attend one, but when I was younger, I got chicken pox from my brother.
Yeah.
And
that's how it always happened. You always got it from somebody.
A lot of people were doing, and it wasn't it wasn't one of those things, but it's not like that. Like you need to protect yourself, and try to think about your future. Would you rather have more health issues after getting COVID?
Yeah.
Or would you rather protect yourself?
Yeah.
I'm personally, I'm still having headaches from it. And I found out that I was sick on the 3rd of January.
Yeah.
So it's one of
it's the end of January. I don't know how long I'm gonna put this out, but it's the end of January now.
Yeah, it's January 2nd today.
Yeah.
So I'm having headaches for about 19 days. And it's just like a constant just basal headache.
Yeah.
And so this week was my first full week going back to work. And it was tough because I would just get tired and my head be hurting and nothing that I took would help it. Ibuprofen, Tylenol, nothing helped. So I don't want this to happen to anybody else. I have mild symptoms. I can't even fathom what it would be like if I didn't have any type of protection against it.
Exactly. It's what you said. Walk outside with your coat on. It's cold. It's cold outside. Yes.
You got to
put your coat on. Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. Well, again, Tiff, like I said, thank you so much. I'll be putting your can people follow you on social media? I'll put your information out for social media. for them to contact
I
you.
don't have the kind of stuff on my page. I'm sorry, people, but if you have questions, you can ask me.
Yeah.
I don't mind answering. I've gone on a couple people's pages just to kind of dispel some myths and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer. See if I could be helpful or point you in the direction of a resource.
Perfect. Okay, well, I'm going to close this out here. So, of course, I always say, this is Let's Talk About It. If no one has told you that they love you today, know that Uncle Mike love you, and you really should feel like I love you with all this information that we got today. People pay for this information, but you get it for free. Well, remember, subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Yes, exactly. Share, like, and subscribe. I think this is going to touch the masses. I'm really proud of this episode, and I'm so happy that this was my first episode of 2022. So again, you reach out to me, everything hashtag _ LTAI pod. I have a sign up there, but I'm not going to grab it. Uncle Mike. And again, reach out to me if you have some topics that you want us to discuss. If you want to be a co-host, if you want to discuss a topic with me, let me know and we can see what we can collaborate with. So again, thank you. Peace out.